All right, welcome to another chapter in this series of chapters on the advanced data cloud. We are going to be talking about segments in this chapter. Segments are really important. It's probably one of the reasons that you use data cloud. It's to find those customers that are relevant to your particular use case. So all of your customers find me the customers who have created cases, who have not created cases, who have made purchases, who haven't made purchases, who purchase and create a case, right? A lot of different things that you can actually achieve with segmenting. The idea is you're going to get all your buckets. We talked about that in an earlier chapter. We're going to take all your buckets and say, we want these buckets, not the other buckets. Okay. And that's what basically segmentation it's all about. So let's go into that a little bit deeper. So what is segmentation? Just like I say, you have all your buckets, which represent customers. So you have all your customers in here, and you want those customers or buckets who have created cases, have purchased product X, has not purchased product X, but are complaining about it. I don't know, maybe they're trial, maybe you're testing it, right? The way you do that is actually in a graphical tool that looks just like this, where the most important part is basically this section here. If you think about it, what you are trying to achieve is to create a SQL query, but more importantly, the where criteria on that particular the word criteria of your SQL in this graphical UI. Okay, so that where statement is basically what you're building right over here. Okay, all right. Sounds simple, but there's a few complexities which are very important to be able to understand. Let's go into a demo first, and then we'll take a look at let's go into a demo first, and we'll take a look at some segments that I've built. All right, so let's go into the demo here. I'm gonna close this. I could save it or not, but I'm just gonna cancel it. That's from a previous chapter. Just left it running. All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna look for segments in here. All right. And I've created some segments because I wanted to show a couple things to you. Right now, we're going to start with, oops, and again. Like I asked in my previous video, if you guys have a better tool than Zoom It, which is free and simple, I don't want something with 5,000 options, leave it in the comments and tell me which tool works out for you. I would love to try it out. I have one which is called Screen Brush or Paintbrush. I think it's called a Screen Brush in my Mac, which is my Salesforce corporate computer. But I'm doing this on my personal time, on my personal computer, because this is not part of Salesforce. Although I do work for Salesforce, none of these materials is supported by them. Hopefully supported by you. If you like it, subscribe, leave me comments, follow me. I would really appreciate that we have a two-way communication channel. All right, so let's take a look at those little things over here, those two segments. All right, this is pointing to something is called JavaScript void, which means that I cannot open this in a different tab. but I wanted to compare their kind of side to side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to duplicate this. In here, I'm gonna open the first one, maybe to edit rules. This is the one that is different, and this is the one that is the edit rules the same. All right, actually, let's go with this one first. So what is it that I'm trying to achieve here? I want to find out of my customers which one is the one that have, which customers are the ones, in plural, of course, which have made purchases uh, in the last 6 months. Okay, today is actually one year. Today is what's today? Today is July 5th, 2025. So a little bit over a year. Okay, so find me the, and actually all the data that I have in here, it's for the 2024. Okay, so I don't have any data for 2025. So this is basically which customers purchase on the second half of the year and purchase more than $50,000. So the customers that have at least one order that is more than $50,000 and in the second half of the year. Okay, and I'm doing an and. I want you to remember those things for a little bit. All right. How many do I get? Get 346 records. And total I have only 522, so maybe they're not, doesn't seem like a lot, but out of the population, that's actually 66% of my population. Okay? 66% of the customers have purchased at least $50,000 and in the second half of the year. Okay? Okay, remember that for a little bit, please. 50,000, second half of the year, 346. $50,000, second half of the year, $50,000, second half of the year, I got 372. What? I had 346, I have 372. And it's not that the numbers are wrong. Let's start the recount on both of them, and we'll get the exact same numbers. Sorry, the numbers will not change. 372 and 346. They will not change by refreshing because the numbers are correct. The numbers are correct, but they're different. Here we had 66% of the population, and doing the same query, maybe. This one is 50,000 and the second half of the semester. Now we have 372, but before we had that. So let's see if we can actually do this in Windows. Yes. Okay, and put this one over here. Oh, make it a little bit down. All right. So now you see them side to side. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that this is 71% and this is 66. So which one is correct? Yes, both are correct. How can both be correct? So it's actually you're asking a different question. Okay? It's not the same question that you're asking. We'll explain that better in a different way. So how can that make sense? Well, that's the reason I wanted to share this with you. So let's maximize this. Let's leave those open for now, just in case I need to come back to it. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back into a couple more slides. So when I do the same container, I get this number, which is lower than if I do this on different containers. In different containers, I get a higher value. This is 372 than if I do this in two containers. So if I do it in one container, I get lower numbers. If I do it on two containers, I get higher numbers. Notice that I'm doing an AND in both cases. I'm doing an AND and I'm doing an AND. Okay. Still confused? I think you are. But the next slide will actually help you understand what is going on. Watch this. Here's some sample data. Okay. It's only I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different records. Okay. This is the different customer 1, customer 2, customer 3, customer 4, customer 5, customer 6. They purchase, oh, actually, it's a different use case, a little bit different use case. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find customers that have made the recent purchases 3 months ago in store 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's kind of a little bit different from the previous demo, but it's the same idea. It's just because the numbers are a little bit different here, or the fields are a little bit different. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find recent purchases. We're trying to find different recent purchases made within the last 3 months in store 1 to 3. We're going to do same container, different containers, and see what records get returned when. Okay? And we will explain why we were getting two different numbers. Okay, watch this. It's important. Let's take one row at a time and see if the store matches. And it will match if it is a store 1 to 3. So the store will match if the store is 1 to 3. This one will match. This one will not match. Green check mark means yes, of course, and red X means no, of course. Okay? All right, good. What about the date match? 3 months ago. This was purchased 2 months ago. That matches. This was purchased 6 months ago. It does not match. Okay, so far so good. Now remember what segments are. All goes back to the beginning. Out of all your buckets, you're trying to find those buckets, aka customers, who have something. So although we're looking at purchases history here, what we're actually trying to find is the customers. Okay, we're not trying to find the purchases, we're trying to find the customers. All right. Let's keep moving. What happens if I use the same container with an AND? Just like we did in one of the examples before. Okay, so when I do same container, or actually maybe you can think about this if you want to as container, it's equals to record. Container is equals to record. Container is equals to record. Okay, keep that in mind. So when we do same container, we're saying that it's the same record. So we're looking for purchases made on store 1 to 3 3 months ago in the same record. So basically the same record. We're going to look at one record at a time and see if there's a match. And we have one match here in the same record, but there's no match for the same record here. There's no match record for the same record here. So when we do an AND, it's do we have a match on a record for the store match and for the date match? And the answer is yes, we do. So that record will go into our segment. We will be selecting that particular record. Here we do the same thing. Both of them are true. So we find that. Notice that we don't find customers, any more customers. So in the same container, we have 2 customers. All right, let's move on. What if I do a different container? Well, it's and we could use the same or a different container, same or different record, because container is equals to record. So obviously this one's going to be matched. This one is going to be matched. Notice that this one is matched, but it wasn't matched here. So that's where we start seeing the differences. This record will be found if we're doing a different container, but not if we're doing the same container. That's why the numbers are different. Let's take a look. Does the store match? Yes, it does. Does the date match? Yes, it does. Is it on the same container? Is the match on the same container? No, it's not. Okay, so I'm not gonna find it. Is it on a different container? Is it in a possible different container? Yes, so I'm gonna find it. It could be on the same. It could be on the same, so I find it. Or it could be indifferent. But I find it if it is different, not if it is the same. Okay? All right. Let's move. Actually, before I do that, here we're finding 2 records. Here we're finding 3 records. That's why the numbers on my containers were actually different. If we go back to the examples here, we had 346 and we had 372 because these were different records, different containers. This one was exactly the same container. So it must match on the same record. It could match even if it is different records. Okay. All right, let's go back to here. Oh, what did it just happened? Let's go back to the slideshow. All right, that's why this was 2 records. This was 3 records. I many times had students ask me, oh, that's because you're doing an AND and not an OR. Well, let's take a look at what happens if I do same or different container with an OR. So before we had ANDs, and now we have ORs. So when we do ORs, these records are the same, but not these ones. So when we do an OR, here or here, we're finding these records, but we're not finding these records. How does that work? Well, actually, what we're saying is find me customers who have made a purchase 3 months ago, or whatever the store, or they purchased on store 123, regardless of when they purchased. So here, the customer purchased in store 123, regardless of when they purchased. So it's because it's an or, I'll find it. Here it says, okay, because it's it's 2 months ago. So regardless of which store they purchased recently. So I'm gonna find that. So when I'm doing the same container, I'm gonna find it, but I'm not gonna find it when I'm doing an and. Sorry, I will find it when I'm doing an or, not when I'm doing an and. Right? So it's not the same thing as just doing an or. It's because they are different records. These two, which use an and, it's different than the ones that use an or, regardless on the container. Now, it's kind of interesting, maybe, to note, it kind of makes sense, I guess, that these two will give you exactly the same numbers. Just because you're doing an or. When you do an and, you may restrict to be in the same record or a different record. Hopefully that is clear now. It was something very, very confusing. I couldn't understand it for the longest time until I basically built this particular table. Hopefully it helps you clarify why it has been the case. The other thing that affects how do you find the data is with something which is called a path. So we can either find it through this path or we can find it through this path. But notice that I'm finding most of my records here because there are none of them. Well, 1% of my population is in Canada, but 0% 0% here is not in Canada. Okay, but why am I finding all the records here, which kind of makes sense, but not through here? That is because of the path. Okay, let's take a look at something that I'm sure it will help you understand the paths a little bit better. And actually, let's go into a quick little demo. We're gonna go back into data model. We are gonna go into a different view, which is the graph view. Let's put this into the picture here. All right, and to go from the individual to go, let's switch to blue. To go from the individual down to the contact point phone, I can go direct. Or I could go, that's path 1. Let's see if I can do this color here. And here I can do that path. Let's see, maybe I can do this one here as well. Let's go with orange. I could go through here, right? So to go from individual to contact point phone, I have different paths. And it really depends how the data is loaded. In this basic demo, the data is very straightforward. I'm doing a direct relationship. That's when I found all my data. But it could be that I found my data only if I go to the account contact, because the account contact is the one that has the data. Or maybe, let's see if I try going from the unified to here, and the unified could go through individual to here, or from unify I can go through here. You get the idea, right? So the path is actually very, very important. So when I'm trying to work with the path, there's actually another segment that I already built. So let me demo that one. Data cloud. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I was already in the data cloud. Let's actually go full screen here. There is gonna be a segment. So let's go to segment. What am I doing? I'm a little bit tired. That's what I'm doing. Segment. And same as we did before, gonna duplicate this. I'm gonna go segment direct, and I'm gonna go segment via account. Let's edit the rules. Change this. Notice all the possible ways that I can go from the individual down to the what is this contact point phone. Okay, so from the individual to the contact point phone, I can go through different paths. Which one is the one that I want? Well, which one is the one that is getting me the data that I have is basically how you have done your schema and your mappings and your harmonization, all of the stuff is the one that you want to select. In this case, I'm getting edit rules. I'm getting 518 records. It's kind of the same idea. I'm going through that path rather than going through that path. Okay, so that's why the path is actually pretty important. If I go back to the slides here, if I go direct or if I go indirect, I get different results. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, to like it, read my blogs, follow me on LinkedIn. Please buy me a virtual coffee. And if you're interested in any of these, the links are in the screen. Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure working with you. For now, I think this is all the chapters that I have. If I come with other chapters that I think that are relevant, important, difficult to work with, if you drop me a comment and you say, I want to learn about this particular thing, I will be really, really happy to build that content. If it is related to Data Cloud, I will add it on top of this particular session that we've, or the playlist that I have built. I built it into a playlist so I can add chapters to it. The playlist that I want to start thinking about building next weekend, it's going to be on Agentforce. So stay tuned. And if you like it, let me know. Subscribe, like, follow me, read my blogs, buy me virtual coffee. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.